Good morning, everyone. Now, it's always a pleasure to come back to this annual conference of All India Ophthalmic Society. And I can see very few people over here, but fewer people means actually the people who are actually interested in whatever talk is going on. So, when the posterior segment surgeons have taken to using anti-VEGFs, it is a common mentality of the anterior segment people not to stay behind, and they think of ways where they can use their products in their anterior segment also. Of course, I must thank Dr. Sandeep Saxena for including me in this instruction course and also in helping us deal with these patients of anterior segment disorders with the anti-VEGF drugs. Now, at our center, the anterior segment problems where we are using anti-VEGFs is cases of pterygium, post-keratoplasty, sometimes to bail us out of an acute episode of rejection, and even in healing phases of corneal ulcer or various forms of keratitis, where vascularization remains as the main issue. The ulcer has started healing, infection is controlled, but the vascularization is still bothering us. Let us talk about pterygium first. Now, let us think, why is the patient bothered in pterygium and why the ophthalmologist is bothered? Mainly, the patient is bothered about the cosmesis and the apprehension about that fleshy mass that has started developing. What about the ophthalmologist? We know that ultimately we are going to land up with visual disturbances, mainly in the form of irregular corneal surface and astigmatic error. Then the decision, till when can we wait and do nothing for the patient, and when we have to actually go ahead with the surgery. And even after surgery, we are again bothered about recurrences, which often come as a surprise to us. Very good pterygium surgery, nothing uneventful, and after a few months, the person comes back with a recurrence. So, considering all this, we may resort to conservative procedures, which includes anti-VEGFs. Now, pterygium, up till just a few years back, the only concept was that it is a degenerative condition, much affected by the environmental and occupational factors leading to the fibroproliferative element. This was the main thing. But nowadays, the concepts have changed and we are talking about the inflammatory component, the factor of angiogenesis, and actually the pro-angiogenic factors have been found to be elevated, cytokines have been found to be elevated, and the anti-angiogenic factors have found to be decreased by various researchers. So, when we use anti-VEGFs in pterygium, we are mainly focusing on the angiogenesis factor, and people are saying that it has got a subsidiary role in decreasing inflammation also. So, treatment with anti-VEGFs, it may just postpone surgery. We give anti-VEGFs, find a result, and the patient may gain a few months by the time he gets convinced that maybe I'll still have to go in for surgery. Or just a thin papery pterygium is left behind with no blood vessels, the fleshy look disappears, and the patient may actually not find the need for surgery. Even the ophthalmologist feels that it is not progressing, the visual disturbance has not begun, and we tell the patient that we'll keep you under observation. And we have got patients who have not actually come back for a surgery. But remember, all said and done, the supportive treatment about the environmental factors modification, the treatment of any ocular surface persistent inflammation, and very commonly missed also the dry eye disorders. If it is there, it might be one of the important factors in the occurrence also and the progression also of the pterygium. So, you must take care of that. Now, this is right in the beginning when anterior segment surgeons had begun using anti-VEGFs. The study was conducted at our center, Dr. Sandeep was a person who decided that we will do this study, and without doing any surgery, just for a primary pterygium, multiple subconjunctival anti-VEGF injections were given. And you can see this one is the first one is the pterygium before using Avastin, and this is after 1 month. This line denotes the amount of regression that has occurred, and even it is not very obvious, but even the fleshy appearance has decreased in the post bevacizumab period. Besides the regression of the pterygium, there was improvement of visual acuity from 20/100 to 20/60 after 6 months, and the patient did not feel the need for surgery. Now, when we started doing these studies, we started looking up what other people were doing elsewhere, and we found that people were doing these studies in different ways. Some people were doing it in recurrent pterygium, some were doing it as a primary procedure along with surgery. Like this one, these people, Nava and Olvera, they did a surgery in the form of excision of the pterygium and a conjunctival autograft, and then combined it with subconjunctival anti-VEGFs. What they did was they made 3 groups. Group 1, a single dose was given immediately after the surgery. In the second group, 1 was given immediately after the surgery, and the second was given 15 days after the surgery. And in the third group, they did not give anti-VEGFs, only the surgery was done. And the results that they found was that group 1 and 2, there was some ischemia in the initial 24 hours period, which disappeared. Subsequently, it disappeared after a month. And there were no recurrences in this group. Only it recurred in the third group, where they had not given anti-VEGFs. So, they concluded that recurrences were prevented by giving anti-VEGFs, but there was no difference between the group which had got only 1 injection and the other one where they had given 2 injections. This was another study where these people found that topical application of bevacizumab was given to recurrent pterygium patients. Here they made 2 groups, and after one month after the surgery, in the first group they got topical anti-VEGF 4 times a day for 2 months, and the other one they did not give anti-VEGFs, only the steer substitutes were given again in the same way for 2 months. They found that in the study group, that means where they had given anti-VEGFs, none of the patients showed a recurrence of pterygium, and they did not develop any corneal vascularization also. And in the control group, just 2 out of 22 eyes developed a pterygium recurrence, and 5 out of 22 developed corneal neovascularization. This is a small study, maybe it was a coincidence, but this is something that they actually observed. This is another study where they used ranibizumab for early recurrent pterygium. Here also, the first group they got only 1 injection, and the second one they received 3 injections at 0, 2nd and 4th week. And they found that single and multiple injection patients, there was no difference. The results were similar. Now, another indication besides pterygium, we are using it in corneal vascularization. Now, what happens when the cornea gets vascularized? The problems that occur because of corneal vascularization, it starts becoming opaque and lipid keratopathy, and in keratoplasty patients, it may set off or aggravate a condition of graft rejection. So, along with other medication, if we are able to suppress vessels, we might have better results. This is another case report that we published, where topical anti-VEGF was used for corneal vascularization after penetrating keratoplasty. The patient came 6 months after the keratoplasty with an episode of graft rejection. A triple procedure had been done: corneal graft, cataract surgery along with IOL implantation. And when he came to us, the best corrected visual acuity was 1/60. So here a single drop twice a day for 15 days was instilled into the patient's eye, and we found that after a month the visual acuity also improved and the vascularization and stromal haze regressed. And after 6 months still the vision became better. 9 months it remained better. The regression had actually been controlled, and you can see the picture. There is a significant difference between the amount of vascularization, amount of the haze before anti-VEGF and 6 months after the anti-VEGF. Then in some patients of corneal ulcer, as I told you, that when it was in the healing phase, infection had been controlled, and along with the healing lots of blood vessels were coming onto the cornea. There again we used, this is before using anti-VEGF. You can see the amount of haze, these vessels coming right from the periphery onto the central part. But after the therapy, the haze is also much less, and the vessels are just very thin, ghost vessels remain. So this you must remember that the stromal haze, some of it is of course because of the keratitis itself, but some of it is because the blood vessels are producing exudation into the corneal tissue. We can control that element by anti-VEGF. And again, other studies that have been done in corneal vascularization, these people did the study where they made 2 groups. Again, in the first group, a single dose was given in a very high concentration. I don't know how they managed it, but about 25 milligram per ml has been quoted. Only a single dose. And in the second group, they give 2.5 milligram for twice a day for 2 weeks. And the parameters that they observed was the amount of neovascularization, the corrected distant visual acuity, the incidence of complications, and the subjective complaints. They found at the end of 6 months that in group A, the percentage reduction of the comparison showed not much of a difference. It was the same in both the groups, even with single instillation and where they had continued it for some time. But all said and done, we must remember that we have got a very limited data available, because this sort of usage is early, and long-term results we still have to observe and also report at subsequent gatherings of this sort, that how much duration had those vessels been there and about the dosing regimen. But they are being increasingly used for anterior segment problems also. And as you have seen in the setting of pterygium, they have been studied as primary treatment, perioperative adjuvants, and for early recurrences of pterygium. Now you must also remember that the vasculature in the posterior segment and in the anterior segment is slightly different. So if we compare posterior segment results with anterior segment results, the histopathological characteristics are different, and when we push it into the vitreous, then it has a longer half-life than when we are giving it as a topical or subconjunctival preparation. To conclude, the results are encouraging. We must keep trying. It is effective, it is safe, because we did not find any epithelial defects, superficial punctate keratopathy, or aggravated symptoms of irritation or dryness in the patient. And there was a high patient satisfaction limit. Thank you for your patient hearing.